Hola mis amigos, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Kyle y aquí en mi canal Pensando Inglés la misión es traerles inglés real y comprensible para ayudarles con su inglés. Y hoy voy a contarles la historia de exactamente cómo aprendí español, pero primero quiero pedirles un favor. Por favor, mis amigos, si un video mío les ha hecho sonreír, reír, aprender una palabra nueva, dame un like ahora mismo antes de ver el resto del video para ayudar el canal a crecer. Ok, mis amigos, empecemos. Hello, my friends. I am Kyle. My mission is to help you guys with your English by giving you real and comprehensible English. So today, I am going to tell you guys exactly how I learned Spanish. But first, a very smart young person named Steven asked me, how do I have the black background, okay, el fondo negro in my videos? Steven said, it looks really good. How do you do it? Okay? And Steven, I think it looks really good too, okay? But it's so easy, okay? It's just a trick of the light, okay? A trick of the light. Here I have my light, okay? Mi luz. And then back here, it's just a piece of cloth, okay? A piece of material that I bought on Amazon. I'll put a link down below if you're interested, okay? It's cheap, barato, and if you have a good light and a decent camera, it works very well, okay? So, if any of you guys are interested in how I record my videos, how I edit my videos, all of that stuff, maybe you guys have a YouTube channel you're trying to get going, tell me down below that you want to see that, and I'll show you guys all of the tricks I know to get good lighting, okay? A good background, how to edit videos easier. If that's interesting for you guys, just tell me, and I'll happily make a video like that, okay? But today, so Steven, I hope that answered your question, okay? Thank you for asking me. It's a good question. I hope that cleared it up for you, okay? Oh, I also want to say, Steven is only 16 years old and already studying English and wants to learn other languages. Steven, I salute you, okay? Awesome job. Keep it up. Keep on going. And one day you'll speak English and any other language that you want very well. I'm sure of it, okay? So, the story of how I learned Spanish. Where I live in Indiana, there are a lot of Mexican people here, okay? A lot of Mexicans live here in the part of Indiana where I live. So when I went to school, there were Mexicans speaking Spanish to each other, okay? So in school, the only Spanish I really learned was bad words, okay? Bad words from hearing the Mexicans yelling at each other, okay? I don't want to say them, but you guys know, okay? So I knew a little bit of Spanish like that, bad words from school. And then later in my life, when I got jobs, once I started to work, I had some Mexican friends there, okay? When I worked at the pizza place, the pizza was $5.35, okay? One of the Mexicans told me to say that in Spanish, 5.35. So whenever a Mexican person came in and ordered a pizza, I would say, okay, 5.35. And I thought, oh, I'm speaking Spanish, so cool. And then later at another job, a friend of mine, when I was working really hard, he said, tómala suave, güey, tómala suave, okay? So little things I picked up just living here in Indiana, surrounded by a bunch of Mexicans, all right? But I could not speak Spanish. I could not understand when people were speaking. I knew maybe 20 words, okay? Maybe 20 words. But because I lived here and I had Mexican friends, there were Mexican people all over the place, I always thought it would be super cool to learn Spanish. So when I was maybe about 20, I started using apps on my phone, like Duolingo. Okay, I used Duolingo and I would do it every day for 10 minutes. And I learned some vocabulario, Okay, I learned some vocabulary, I learned some words, how to say a few things. But the problem with Duolingo is that 10 minutes every day, you will never, ever, you could do that for 10 years, okay? And you will not be able to have a conversation, in my opinion, okay? Because it's not enough. You need more than 10 minutes every day. So I was using Duolingo, and I found a cool podcast called Coffee Break Spanish. And Coffee Break Spanish was awesome, and I learned, once again, I learned a lot of vocabulary, okay? And how to say some phrases like, where's the bathroom? Is there a good restaurant around here? Things like that. But the problem, okay, the problem with Coffee Break Spanish is that they were speaking English and telling you how to say things in Spanish, okay? So once again, if I listened to Coffee Break Spanish for 15 minutes, maybe 4 minutes of it were in Spanish, okay? That is not enough input. Input. Okay, so that was the beginning, way back when, okay? I used applications, listened to some podcasts in English about how to learn Spanish, and so I knew how the language sounded, I knew some words, but I did not know how to speak. I could not understand. And then I met a Mexican girl, okay? I met a Mexican girl who speaks English and Spanish, all right? She speaks English just like me because she grew up here in the U.S., but her parents, her mom, does not speak English, ni un poquito. So, I met this girl, we started dating, she was my girlfriend, okay? And when I was with her, we spoke in English, no problem. But then I met her parents, conocí sus padres, and her dad speaks English, cool, her dad was awesome, we got along good. But I could not speak with her mom at all, okay? So I really wanted to because her mom seemed really nice and I wanted to speak with her, okay? Of course I wanted to speak to my girlfriend's mother. So I decided I am going to learn Spanish. I have to find out how. So I started using an app called Babbel, 10 minutes a day, okay? I learned some more words, but I could not speak. It was not helping. So I started looking on YouTube, how to learn Spanish, Google how to learn Spanish, and I finally found italki, and italki is great. I love italki. I love italki. So I started using italki, and that's when I met my friend Emma, and I would do one lesson every week with Emma, and it was great, okay? I was speaking, she was helping me to learn new words, I was learning about the culture, I was learning about how Spanish works, and it was great. The only problem is that it was only once a week, and you can't do an italki class at work, in your car, when my son's running around like crazy, making a bunch of noise, okay? That was the only problem. If you could do italki every day for an hour, you would learn a lot, okay? Because it's input. You're getting input from a native speaker. So italki's great. I learned a lot from Emma, and I made a great friend. I'm honored to call Emma my friend. She's kicking butt at her YouTube channel, Habla con Emma. The only problem is that it was only 1 hour every week, okay? So you need more input. So one day, I was on YouTube, looking, how to learn Spanish. And one day my life changed, okay? I found a channel that would change my whole life. I found a channel on YouTube called Dreaming Spanish, okay? Dreaming Spanish. Now the man who makes Dreaming Spanish, he's a Spaniard, okay? He's from Spain, and his name, su nombre is Pablo Roman, okay? Pablo, he makes videos like this, speaking in Spanish, and he talks about his life, his experiences, talks about all kinds of things, okay? Everything you could think of. Just like I try to do, okay? And that changed my life, okay? I started with his beginner videos. I watched hours, okay? Started with his intermediate, hours, and I could understand more and more. And I was watching these videos when I was at work, when I was at home, okay? Sometimes I would watch 2, 3 hours every day of dreaming Spanish, alright? I was getting so much input. Okay, I was starting to understand. It was like magic, so fast. And that's when I realized input is the secret. Input, input, input. So I started watching so much streaming Spanish. So much, hours. And then at the end of the week, when I would speak with Emma, I could understand her. Okay? I could talk more with her. And she was like, "What are you doing? How are you getting better so fast? How? It's crazy." And it's because I was watching so much. I was getting so much input. So I started with his beginner videos. Then I watched his intermediate videos. And he even has advanced videos where he just talks normal, like he talks with his friends and family. If any of you guys think that you're ready, están listos, for a video of me just speaking how I normally speak, tell me, and I'll make one, okay? I'll make one just speaking normal English, fast, like I do with my friends, with my family, alright? I could make one like that for you guys, if you're ready. And then when I could understand his intermediate videos and start to understand a little bit of his advanced videos, I started watching Netflix with subtitles in Spanish. And I started watching so much Netflix, okay? I watched series and movies, hours. Okay, I would watch maybe 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes of series, sometimes a movie every day in Spanish, okay? Input. I was getting so much input, okay? Spanish every day. I was listening to podcasts in Spanish when I was driving to work, okay? Audiobooks in Spanish. I was reading good books in Spanish, good books that were interesting to me. So my mind started to change, cambiar. It started to change, and a part of my brain became Spanish, okay? There's a part of my brain that will never change for the rest of my life that speaks Spanish, okay? Because I spent so much time on input, okay? So at that point I could speak, I could understand, and then I met a beautiful Colombian woman, okay? I met a beautiful Colombian woman. She's my fiance now, okay? And when I met her, she did not speak English yet, okay? Now she speaks English so good, I'm very proud of her. But in that time, she did not speak English, so we spoke Spanish. Our first date, nuestra primera cita, we spoke Spanish for like 4 or 5 hours, alright? So we spoke Spanish for 4 or 5 hours. That was the most Spanish I ever spoke, okay? So our relationship grew and grew. We got close. We were speaking Spanish every day. We text in Spanish, okay? That's just more input. Just a huge part of my life became Spanish, okay? I fell in love with a woman who speaks Spanish. We speak Spanish every day, alright? I listen to Spanish music with her. I watch Spanish shows. I read Spanish books. Okay, so you have to make it part of your life. I made Spanish part of my life. Now nobody could take that away from me. The great secret of life is that we become what we think about. Whatever you think about all day, you will become that. If you think about success, you will become successful. If you think about speaking English, you will speak English, okay? Make it part of your life, and it will become a part of your life that nobody can take away from you, okay? So tell me, guys, tell me down below, what have you tried when you were learning English? What are some of the things that you tried? Did they work? What has worked for you? What has not worked for you? Okay? And if these videos help you, tell me why. Tell me why, okay? Okay, mis amigos, como siempre, muchísimas gracias por ver y nos vemos pronto.